Hello, it's January the 11th, 2019. We got the head assembly just kind of dry fit for right now. Basically what we got is this riser system here, because the bolts we have are too short, right, to go into the engine. So by going from the old takeoff point for where the heads were, I needed to extend this top cap to help hold everything together. That's if it's even going to run, eh? Yeah, just in case it runs. So I had enough material left over to cut these pieces of angle iron, and I got those in there. And what I'm going to actually do is I'm going to weld them to this plate and weld them to this plate, and leave the bolts. Well, I'll probably take the bolts out when I'm welding, but just want to make sure this is fitting in here just right. It's going pretty loose. This one's a little tight, but this one's nice and loose, and this one's nice and loose. That one's nice and loose, but this one's just a little tight. I don't know what's binding on it. Something's binding on it. Oh, there it goes. It's a lot better now. So this cap needs to hold this coil in there just in case the darn thing actually works. I got these 1/4 inch bolts too, which are going to help hold it, but got to make it as strong as we can, because we're going to need it to be really strong if it actually does work. And we got a little bit of play on this to bolt it down. This is going to come up a bit. These sides here can come up a bit so that we have a good connection between this top cap and that pipe T. So what I'm going to do is I'll take this off of here. Take these bolts out of here. Set them out of the way. Can't lose those. It's like 35 bucks to get bolts that'll be long enough to use the old setup. And I'd have to wait probably 3 weeks to get them shipped, so that's not good, right? So I had to come up with something to keep the project going. So now you can see how we have it all together, and it was tricky getting this bottom plane to be pretty much level. I don't know if we can set that up there without it falling. Yeah, it's probably going to fall. So I wanted this plane to be as level as we can get it, which is pretty decent. Close enough. That's close enough for what we're gonna do. And what I'm gonna do then is I'm gonna cut these tabs off of here, off the top. I'll probably go from this point right across to the inside here, so that we have something to weld these pieces of angle iron in place. So after I get them set in there, I'm going to mark a hole on these ones here where this comes in. I'm going to drill another hole here, and I'm going to actually weld those pieces of angle iron to this piece first, to both of these pieces, and just want to make sure I got them in there in the right way. They look pretty darn close. And then after I tack weld these pieces of angle iron onto these two bottom pieces, do 2 welds, one here, one there, then what I'll do is take the whole unit apart and then actually weld all on the inside right across, and on the inside here right across. So on both sides of that one piece of angle iron, well actually both pieces of angle iron, and put a bead right across so that we have a good connection. And then the bolts will hold up the back end, because I don't trust my welding, eh? I mean, I can weld okay, but this is going to be structural, so I needed some bolts, but I want some welding in there too. And this is just going to have to do, because it's just all we can do. So and then after I get these pieces of angle iron welded to these solid, then I'll bolt it all together, and then I can weld inside here all the way across, same on this side, and then remove the bolts and then weld all the way on this side here, so that we have a decent enough connection at least on one face of that angle iron, and then the bolts will help hold the rest of it together. So that's just kind of the way it worked out, and it's gonna have to be good enough. These are grade A bolts, so they should be strong enough, and with the welds in there, it's just gonna have to hope for the best. I mean, the weak point is this top plate here. It's just kind of welded on top, but oh well, right? There's really not much we can do. I got some spot welds through the middle here too. I drilled out holes and welded right through, so at least we got a little bit of extra connection on there. And if we break this, then that's a good thing, because that means that the whole thing's working. So I'll probably weld that up tomorrow, because it's going to be getting dark out right away, and I need daylight to see really well. I got an okay welding mask, but it's kind of a little bit of light gets blocked just from the way that the screen is. Like, it's an auto darkening, but still it's a little bit dark to be able to see exactly where I'm going to start, just to get me started. And then once I get started, then I go from there. But it sure was fun to put this together. It sure took an awful lot, and it used up all of the angle iron that I had left over as spare. So I just got this little piece here and some scraps. So I don't know, I might just don't know what I could really use them for. Maybe just do some practice welding with them just to get warmed up. Could probably make some tees like that. Then that gives me one on this side, one on there, one on there, one on there, and then flip it over and do the other side. But like a crosshatch or whatever. And we busted a blade, and I had another blade, but this blade's a little bit dull. I mean, it worked good enough, but gonna have to buy another blade at some point. But good enough, it worked good enough for what we needed today. And this is a blade that broke yesterday. Nice and sharp blade, but it always breaks the welds. So, oh well, got quite a bit out of that blade. And we'll weld this up maybe tomorrow then. So I got this much done, and then that's all I'm going to do for today. So till next time, bye bye. Hello, it's January the 13th 2019. We're doing some more work on the project. We got our RCF coil all built, so this is what it looks like now. I'll just zoom out a bit here. It's a pretty big coil, but it needed to be that big to be able to handle all the loops. So we have 128 loops of 28 gauge wire, and we're gonna just put them all in parallel, and that's what this unit's gonna power, because we're gonna have 8 loops times 8 and then times 2, so that's 128, because 8 times 8 is 64, times 2, 128. So we need to load match it. So this is what we had to do to build it, to load match it. I just hope we don't start this darn thing on fire. This tape would probably get pretty hot and it could melt. So well, we'll worry about that. We'll worry about that as we get it going. It'll be interesting to see if this is even going to work. This is about as crazy as it gets, and I don't know really what more to do after this, but I'm sure if there's more to do, it'll come to me later on. But for right now, this is how it's going to sit in here. I'll just drop it in here. sits in there pretty good. And that's how it's going to sit inside our setup now. And then of course we got our new welded up hole down. I hope it's going to be strong enough to hold it. I certainly hope so. But we'll just give it a try, and if we have problems with the strength of this, that's a good thing, because that means it's working. So now what I need to do is skin some wire. I have in the junk bin here, I got some 8 gauge wire, some 10 gauge wire. So we will skin a piece of that, because we're going to need to put some leads on this. So I should go get some connectors for that, so we can just go to town on it. I'll maybe go get those connectors here right away. It's got to be getting close to 5 o'clock here. It's this Sunday. So US Open's going to start right away, so I'll go get those connectors, and then probably grab something to eat, and then that'll be it for the project for today. And then watch some of the US Open or the Australian Open. It should be some pretty good tennis for the new year. Anyways, that's it for January the 13th, 2019. Till next time. Bye bye.